What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Specialists. We have episode 11 coming at you. And this week, we are talking NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, MLB standings updates with all sorts of sports injury updates in between. The Atlanta Falcons were confirmed to be tampering for Captain Kirk. Then there's Catilin Clark with a lot of Olympic drama going on there. We're talking about Brandon McManus and his issues, some early quarterback battles, and we even got into a best ball fantasy football draft, and we're going to react to some of the draft picks there. So without further ado, let's get into this week's episode.
Welcome to Sideline Specialists.
And we're here. What's going on, Tom?
Yo, not much. Because this weekend has been ridiculous.
I don't doubt that at all.
For everybody who watched the last one, you'll notice the entire everything behind this camera is very different. I'm in an apartment now, and had double shifts on every side of moving, so it was just literally the most exhausting thing I think I've ever gone through in my entire life.
When you sent me your schedule, I was just like, looking at your schedule makes me tired,
bro. Yeah, it's been a lot, so it's all good though. It was obviously worthwhile. It's just you feel it.
Right. Oh, I'm sure you definitely feel it when you're moving and everything at the same time.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
It was like dealing with the moving process while also finishing up training at a new job and then getting to right into working a lot with the new job, and you're still there were three shifts in a row. After the shift, I just brought shit down here so that the actual move-in day was just not as crazy.
I got you.
But
is there anything left to move in, or do you have it all moved in? Now it's just time to arrange it.
There's 2 chairs that got delivered to my girlfriend's house, and they're just table chairs, not a big recliner.
I got you.
And then a couch.
Okay.
But that's we have the couch. It just needs to get here.
I see.
And
okay.
that'll be fun in its own right, because getting it into the door is kind of all I care about. Once it's in, we're all right, cool. But
I feel that. Is at least not. Is it a top floor apartment, or you
We're on the bottom, but we have windows. We have windows and stuff. It's ground level.
That's nice.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a good setup. The kitchen's right here, straight to my right.
Mm-hmm.
The living room is back here.
Okay.
Which I can see if I can just get my hand out of the way, and if you can kind of see that, and it goes a little further. You can see the light coming in because it's a big whole window. And then the bedroom is behind the monitor, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that your front door behind you?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that'd be the front.
That's a nice setup.
Yeah. There was just a little. It's that half wall that you can see kind of behind me.
Uh-huh.
It goes that all the way down, and then the bathroom is the wall that's directly behind my computer.
Okay.
But my desk and computer and everything literally fit perfectly right here. So it's that's where I'm going.
Got you.
I'm I don't want to be in the walk-in closet bedroom, because then if you're trying to sleep and I'm not, I'm just gonna keep you up and you're gonna be pissed off. So it's gonna go out here.
Yeah.
And it'll be a lot easier.
Completely get that. I would do the same exact thing. As far as topics and everything go, I figured we would get into the playoff updates for NBA and NHL first, because There's a lot to talk about, especially with Catilin Clark, the Falcons, the
Yeah,
quarterback battles, all that.
these two are probably the quickest because I think the whole world unfortunately knows who the NBA champions were going to be even by round two.
Yep.
It
So
kind
we
of
can just kind of
yeah,
breeze through that first. Let me bring up the bracket for those watching back home.
yeah.
Um, yeah, for those that might not be keeping up with the NBA because you might be here for NFL or whatever it may be. Obviously, the Celtics are facing the Mavericks in the finals. Celtics just went up 3-0 after last night. I was hoping that the Mavs would at least make it a little interesting after Porzingis was confirmed to be injured and probably not playing for the rest of the finals.
Yep.
Um, Especially after the fact that he had so much rest, and then in game one he just went crazy and dropped 20 points coming off the bench, and it was just like, shit, if Porzingis is healthy for the finals, it's gonna be a sweep. But now, even without Porzingis, it's gonna be a sweep.
I know, and it's like it's really disappointing because this was like that Kyrie's facing his former team where there was a lot of drama. Luca finally made the finals. And I say finally, as though he's been here for a million years, but it was like we were waiting for this playoff stretch from the Mavs. Like
Right.
we've been waiting for it for a few years now because we know the talent he possesses, and then obviously they've put some more around him. Um, but then to see it's like the Celtics are 15-2. I mean, it's pretty unreal. Obviously, like I'm not gonna say they had the easiest like route ever. I'm not gonna say that because like this postseason, just like injuries happen. This is the way sports goes. We all understand this. I think if Jimmy Butler had been available for the Heat in the first round, that series would have looked different because he always plays the Celtics harder than any other player in the NBA.
Right.
And then the second round, if the Cavs are fully healthy every single game and able to like they needed better matchups, but then it's the thing you and I have discussed repeatedly. The Celtics are the deepest team by miles, and that's why you build for depth so that if anybody's missing, you have somebody else that has the chemistry already and they can come in and help you win, and they're winning. I mean, it's just this was overdue too. The Celtics have literally been knocking on this door for years now, and it's like they're gonna break it because their talent is just insane. So
Yeah. I mean, Jason Tatum finally had a big scoring night last night. And the first two games, he was shooting poorly, still getting his hand in the game with rebounds and assists and so on. But they haven't even needed Tatum really to score much until
no,
last night.
you
And
had the Drew Holiday blow up game that was just like I saw those numbers. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like anybody is contributing here,
yep.
and that's how they designed this thing. So
Yeah. And at this point of the series, my vote for finals MVP is going to be Jalen Brown right now.
yeah,
I think he's been the most consistent and the top guy, but not only that, but seems to be the most vocal leader of the team too.
yeah,
So by far, I would pick Jalen Brown as the Finals MVP at this moment. And it also kind of sucks because obviously Luca is a little banged up. They had him all wrapped up before the last game, but Jason Kidd, I think, deserves a good bit of criticism right now because it doesn't seem like there's that many adjustments he's even trying to make. Obviously,
I
the
know.
defense that you deployed against, the Clippers or the Thunder or the Timberwolves on your way to the finals is not going to be the one that works against Boston because Boston is deeper than any three of those teams. They
Exactly.
play a better version of team basketball. Their defense is right up there, honestly, with the probably the Timberwolves and the Thunder and the Clippers. Um, and so there has to be some sort of change defensive wise, especially because Luka Doncic is just getting blown by all the time. And I know there are defensive schemes where it's like, hey, challenge him on the first look, but then let him through and funnel him to our big men. But even then, you're funneling and then you're leaving guys wide open for three. So with a team like the Celtics, who can hit threes at a ridiculous clip, like even Horford has had a game where he hit 6 threes. There isn't enough room to like give those guys wide open looks and still be able to win the game. So something has to change. You're going to game 4. You're down 3-0. No NBA team has come back from a 3-0 deficit. You might as well just try something else. I mean, they at least threw Tim Hardaway Jr. in the last game, but that dude is one of the streakiest scorers in the league. So throwing him in for one game isn't really going to yield you much because that guy has to get on into a rhythm to actually do something. So, yeah, I mean, Boston pretty much has this one in hand, but
yeah, and it is a shame because we were genuinely waiting for like a competitive finals. It seemed like it could be, and then as soon as it started, it was pretty clear.
Yeah.
To be honest, like in the Minnesota Dallas series, there were some like couple point games, and you were like, "Oh, that could have gone either way." And this series has been just Celtics the entire time.
Right.
And, I mean, without Porzingis, and they still win by 7. It's just like it's chalked.
Yeah, I saw a stat.
Chalked, so.
I saw a stat that someone posted on Threads. I forget who it was, but they said they were ranking like the average point differentials for each game in the finals for each series, and the biggest blowout was Golden State over Cleveland when they got Kevin Durant. It was like an average of like close to 11 points per game spread in each game. And this one, if the Celtics win by, I think it was like 15 or more in the next game, would be the second most ever in a average point diff. So,
yeah, and I
not
think
good.
It'll be one of the better postseasons in history, to be honest, if you think about it. Because like if they were to sweep, they'd finish 16-2, which to basically make like you made and won the finals in a total of 18 games. Like that would be unbelievably impressive.
Right.
And I would have to just tip my cap to them because I know it's a franchise that's won 1 million championships, but this one would feel pretty damn impressive. So,
for sure.
All right,
but
we're doing hockey. Is that what
I was about to say? With that being said, we can move on to hockey. I can bring up the bracket here.
This is you know what this is, and it's actually kind of funny. It's almost the same case that the NBA is, in the sense that Florida has the depth, and this is the most depth Edmonton has ever had, and it's still not deep enough. Because I have the game preview for tonight. Obviously, game 3 is at 8:00, and it'll be in Edmonton, so we'll have to see if that affects anything. But like Connor McDavid has 32 points this playoffs. 32.
That's insane.
That is so fucking batshit. And like 27 of them are assists, though. So it's like you have 5 goals. And I know you're doing a lot to help your other teammates like find the back of the net. But I think the Oilers need you to do it too. And then
right.
Like I look at Florida, their leading point scorer is Kachuk, not surprising at all. He has 19. And he also has only 5 goals, but it's like it's different with him because he hits everyone that moves and he gets in your head and he's trying to affect the game any way he can. And it's like these little things that Edmonton doesn't seem to be doing or doesn't seem to have necessarily. And that's why the series has just looked like frankly ugly. I mean, so far, if it was one game, Florida's won 7-1. I mean, it's like they shut them out in game 1 and then they beat them 4-1 in game 2. It's just like, all right. Congrats, a Canadian team finally made it to the finals again, but like,
but here comes Florida, man.
literally. But then, like we were talking about, like Jaylen Brown being the Finals MVP for the NBA, In hockey, they do a playoff MVP,
I
which
got
is
you.
why on very rare instances a loser on the Stanley Cup actually wins that, and it has happened
hmm
6 times, and annoyingly, 2 of them were Flyers. So
Classic.
yeah, Ron Hextall in the '80s, and then a guy named Reggie Leach in the '70s. He had 19 goals in the playoffs, which is tied for the record.
Holy
Uh,
shit.
yeah, he went bananas, but it's in my head. Even if Edmonton was to mount a comeback for this series, and like if the games are all close, I would still pick Sergei Bobrovsky to be the playoff MVP. I would still pick him.
Okay.
He's
Over
been,
Connor McDavid.
yeah, he's been insane. Like he has a 2.02 goals against average when they've played the fucking Rangers. They're playing the Oilers now. They played the Bruins. It's like, are we serious? Like, like you have the bracket up. Like they beat the Lightning 4-1. Then they beat
Right.
Boston 4-2. Then they beat the Rangers 4-2. It's like you played a team that's won 2 championships in the last 4 years. Boston, who's literally always in the second round of like every playoffs because they're just always good. And then the Rangers, who everybody thought was literally going to the finals no matter who got in their way, and they honestly made it look kind of not hard. And then here they are in the finals, making Edmonton look really easy so far. Like, and it like Bobrovsky has made so many insane like ESPN top 10 saves, like almost on a game like nightly basis. It's just getting insane at this point. And he's like he was in the finals last year and he lost, so I think he's just like, not again, dude. We're not
Right.
doing this shit again. And it's been impressive. It's been really fun to watch. And it's just Florida's just they are a machine right now because they're getting contributions from every single line and from players that like you wouldn't expect. Like Evan Rodriguez. This guy's been in the league since like 2014. Before this season, he had like 2 goals in his entire playoff career. This postseason alone, he has 6. It's like, okay, cool. He had 2 in game 2 of the Stanley Cup final. It's okay. Like
All right.
there's an absolute refusal for Florida to lose back-to-back finals, it feels like, and I really don't know what Edmonton is going to be able to do to turn this tide. Like if they don't win tonight, we know it's over. If they win tonight, I still think it's over. Like it's just going to delay the inevitable is where I'm at.
I got you.
And I've tried to watch as much as I can because watching Florida is honestly so damn fun.
How old is Bobrovsky? Is he been around for a while?
Yeah. You want annoying? Or he was originally drafted by your Philadelphia Flyers. And
I remembered the name and I was like, I'm pretty sure he was a Flyer.
yeah. He was a Flyer for like a year because we're stupid. No, 2 years. Sorry. He came up the year after we went to the Cup final in 2010, 2011. So he was called up the year after we were in the finals. He went 28-13, which is fucking great.
Right.
And then the next year, he went 14-10, played way less games. And then for whatever fucking reason, they were like, oh, no, let's sign like Ilya Bryzgalov for $1 billion, even though he's older and dog shit and absolutely mentally unstable. Let's do that. And they traded him to Columbus. So Bobrovsky played for the Blue Jackets for 7 seasons. And then he's been in Florida for the last 5.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's 14 years now in the NHL.
And he's a tank.
He's 35. Actually, sorry, I didn't mean to say drafted. This man was undrafted, by the way. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame because he has 2 Vezina trophies for best goalie in the NHL for a whole season. 2.
Mm-hmm.
And he was undrafted.
That's ridiculous.
So that's what pisses me off even more. Like I look at our management, Flyers management. Then I'm like, what did you not see that you wanted to see from this guy?
Right.
Like he won a Vezina in Columbus of all places. Here, my dad's calling me. Give me like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll mute myself.
I'll move on to some. There's a topic I wanted to bring up real quick here. I sent it to Tom right before we got on the podcast, but Doc Rivers, the man just never wants to take any blame. The latest thing that Doc Rivers has said now on, I think it was Bill Simmons' podcast. I'm trying to bring up the post I saw about it not too long ago here. All right, here we go. So Doc Rivers said the only place that I thought it was difficult to play at home is in Philly because of the crowd. I thought it affected our players some. It is not going to be that hard to play in Philly as long as you give a shit, you play hard, and you win the games you're supposed to win. Really, it like the media, the opposing fans, social media, everyone wants to make it seem like it's so much more complex, and like Philly fans are just gonna chomp your head off for no reason, and they just will boo for absolutely no reason, and so on and so forth. Most of the times, if the Philly fans are booing, it is for a reason. It is because the team looks like ass, and it's because they just do not even look like they care. That's the biggest thing. So to go and talk about like how, oh, the Philly fans, it's hard to play in Philly because of the fans and everything like that. Like, no, Doc Rivers, how about you finally blame yourself and your own coaching because you weren't able to take the team where they were supposed to go? How about you blame that? Like, the season before Doc Rivers took over, they were 31-4 at home. That was the season before Doc Rivers took over. Doc Rivers took over, he went 29-7 at home, 24-17, and then 29-12. The middle year in between, and don't get me wrong here, Embiid played a lot of those games. Embiid played a lot of the games on all of his seasons, especially at home. Nick Nurse this year, the first year after Doc Rivers, he went 25-16 at home. So he did a little bit better than Rivers 24-17 in his middle year. Now, Embiid only played in 24 of those games because obviously we know he was pretty hurt this year, missed a lot of time. But playing in Philly as the home team is not that hard that Doc Rivers wants to make it out to be. And that is only going to piss people off even more. I mean, Doc Rivers is just, he literally is incapable of taking any blame. He just can't get over himself enough to actually accept the fact that he might have been the issue. Like, there's just no reason for him to. First off, I didn't listen to the entire podcast that he was on with Bill Simmons, but why are we throwing more gas to the fire and having Doc Rivers talk about the Sixers fans? Like, why is that even a thing right now? That's just stirring the pot at this point. It's just stupid. But the fact that he sits there and says, oh, it's hard playing at home. What happened?
Breaking news, the Jaguars and QB Trevor Lawrence have agreed on a 5-year, $275 million contract extension. The deal comes with $200 million guaranteed.
Holy
per
shit.
Ian Rappaport. So that is reliable as it gets right there. That is a
shit.
big boy contract. Holy shit. Is that the biggest? Is that the biggest one?
For quarterbacks or in general?
Did that just take number one in the NFL?
It might have.
In average? That's 55 a year.
Let's see. I'm about to bring up Spotrac here right now.
Yeah, that's gotta be damn close, if not number one.
Patrick Mahomes looks like it's still number one.
What's his ABV or APV, whatever it is?
45.
45?
Oh wait. hold on. Joe Burrow's at an average of 55.
Yeah, his is thick.
So never mind. I think it's Joe Burrow.
Okay, well then Lawrence just tied that then, because 55 is his now, and I think 200 mil guaranteed's got to be the highest. That's an insane amount guaranteed.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like it'll help their cap, but Jesus,
The
God,
only one
hurt.
higher guarantee is Deshaun Watson.
Oh my God, Cleveland, what are we fucking doing, dude?
According to Spotrac, it says 230 million is guaranteed for Deshaun Watson.
Holy, yeah, okay.
And that's his entire contract.
Only Cleveland could pull some fucking stupid shit like that. Let's be honest. They're like great at doing things right on defense, and then on offense, they're like, let's just ruin our franchise.
Yeah. Are you allowed to sign a 10-year contract in the NFL?
No.
I didn't think so.
5 is the max.
It says Patrick Mahomes start year 2020, end year 2031. That doesn't make any sense.
Hold up. Oh, well, I mean, extensions maybe. Like, it's the same contract that was originally signed, but they just keep extending it. Maybe that's how that's how they're thinking of it, potentially.
That could be, yeah.
Because that would have been like the end of his rookie deal, wouldn't it? Or just about.
Yes.
Like 2020 would have been the end, so they had to sign him then. Yeah,
maybe
that's
so.
why. That would make sense. But even then, it's like 2031 still feels like it's too far out to be a thing. But I don't know.
Right.
Maybe QB deals only get signed to 5 years. Maybe it's just QBs where we see that. Because like recently, literally every deal has been like 5 years. Like Lamar's was 5, Jalen was 5, Burrow's was 5. You know what I mean? Like, all right. What did Doc Rivers do?
Oh,
I saw his name.
Yeah, I sent it to you on
Okay, I'll read that
on Instagram. I think.
Okay, I'll read that and then we can.
Yeah, I was just saying the man literally can't fucking take any criticism. He can't take any blame. If anything bad happens, he has to shift the excuse to somebody else that's not him.
Yeah, but all I need to say to him is like, look at the team you had when you were the coach of the Celtics and how long it took you to win a championship, and then look at what the Celtics are doing this year, and just shut the hell up. Like, Boston is also one of the hardest fan bases to play in front of. Like, they'll kill you. Like, I freely admit they are just as nuts. Like, and we hear nothing about them, but now you need to just bitch about Philly because you got spurned because you couldn't get it done again. You can't get it done anywhere. Go home. Like, just hang it up. No, don't go on commentary. No one wants to hear you. Don't go into ESPN. No one wants to hear you. Go home, retire, and tell Austin Rivers. You tell your son that he sucks. He was not good enough to be out here talking shit to people. Like, your whole family needs to calm down.
His broadcasting / podcasting is even worse.
Bro, I literally did. You saw James Jones rip his asshole open, right? You saw.
Oh that? Yeah.
I saw that and I'm like, okay, Austin Rivers, just hide from the internet. Just hide.
The fact he was like, James Jones, who is like, everyone that watches sports knows who James Jones was.
Literally, it's like NFL touchdown leader for like 2 separate seasons, Super Bowl champion.
Yeah,
James Jones,
which is way more than Austin Rivers has to show.
Yeah, it's like, hey Austin, do you have a ring? No. Oh, you were taken 10th overall, and that was just like the whole. I love the rant. He's like, you were taken at this pick, and these are your stats. Like, this is your career. He's like, you shouldn't even have been drafted. You should have been like a guy unsigned who went to the G League, like with these numbers. I was just like, I love you. And he's so well spoken too. That's the thing. It wasn't just like he just rattled him so quick. It was yeah. That's why it was so effective. But yeah, I love seeing the Rivers get just absolutely shit on. It's great.
Agreed. Yeah, Doc Rivers just pisses me off. It was like, especially like what I was saying earlier, you inherited a team that was already good in the first place. And Brett Brown took that team to a 31-4 home record.
Yep.
And that's the guy that everyone says, like everyone's like, oh, Brett Brown isn't that great of a coach and blah, blah, blah. Brett Brown had his deficiencies. Don't get me wrong. He
Yeah.
also had a loyalty to Ben Simmons over Jimmy Butler and everything. But that's also the guy that they drafted and the guy he's been coaching, and also the one he's pretty much seen grow up because Brett Brown was coaching Team Australia. But
that's why we can we can understand that. It's
right.
just the problem that in that case, the problem was the Philly fans. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like there's a difference in the circumstances surrounding it. Like for Doc, it's not the fans. It's that we literally watched you fail at the same exact way, like 4 years in a row. And
exactly
always in game sevens, always we're especially the Hawks series. It's like there was no excuse for that.
Right.
Like there was no excuse for ever losing that series. Like we were the better team on paper and on a basketball court. But your failure to manipulate the players that were on the floor to create better matchups is the reason.
Exactly.
So.
And it would have been one thing if Brett Brown only made the first round, never got out of the first round, and then Doc Rivers took him to the second round. But the year before, Brett Brown got them to the second round and only lost in the second round by one of the craziest shots in NBA history.
Yep, that we will have to live with forever because any highlight video of buzzer beaters will feature that at the end because it's it was a series clinching Game 7 buzzer beater over Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid that bounced 3 fucking times. And yeah, but that's my point too. It's like Doc was never that close.
Right.
Ever. And it's not even as though Brett got carried. Like the right guys were on the right people in that game, even at the end too. It's like those are 2 defensive player of the year candidates that were all over Kawhi, and he just threw up a prayer and it got answered. It's how it goes. But
exactly. Yeah. And it's also just the fact that not only did Doc Rivers take them to the exact same spot, but the team itself looked worse as his tenure went on.
Yep.
And underneath him, there's just been so much ridiculous stuff going on with the players and everything. It all is just a train wreck. I'm honestly just done with Doc Rivers.
And it's the last thing I'll say too is it's not even exclusive to Philly. It's everywhere he's been.
Exactly.
You were on the Clippers when you had Lob City, in their primes. You had that. It was the most exciting thing in the basketball at that point, when you got there. And you couldn't get past anybody with that team, which is a travesty. And the 3-point shooting on that team, it was Jamal Crawford, JJ Redick. Are you shitting? What do you need? You had DeAndre Jordan, who was still young and limber.
Defensive player of the year, DeAndre Jordan.
Blake Gordon, who could literally jump 6 feet vertical. Chris Paul, when he came in, it was what did you need? You had everything. You had it all. And then before that, the only reason he has a ring is because 4 fucking Hall of Famers were on one team at one time, and it still was close. It's just nuts. The fact that anybody listens to him at all, which people really don't now, but
true. I'll correct my statement and say he was on all defensive team, but he was in the race for defensive player of the year.
But
Jordan.
It's it still matters though, because he was you would watch old tape of DeAndre Jordan and you're like, holy shit.
Right.
And then that dunk on Brandon Knight, it will live forever.
Oh yeah.
He murdered him. That's one of the most vicious. It's that's what you had. You had that level of tenacity in your players, and you still could not do enough as a coach. And then you go to Milwaukee and blame them. It's you don't even know them, and you're going to throw blame on them every fucking press conference. Are you serious? It's just
he just threw Damian Lillard under the bus and told everybody that Lillard told him that he was out of shape in the beginning of the season. Why would you bring that up?
And I'm sorry, no, he didn't. I'm sorry, Dame is not that guy.
Yeah, I don't know why Dame would even say that to Doc.
His work ethic, his entire career has been unhealthy levels of just psychotic.
Yeah.
He played on Portland and knew every year if they were going to win, it was on him. Like, and he gets out of there because that situation became bad. He goes to Milwaukee, gets to play with Giannis. It's like, fuck yeah. You think he was seriously going into that with no effort? He's playing with a dude who was an MVP, like multiple time MVP. Like,
Right.
What the fuck are we, like, are you serious? Just,
Yeah.
it makes no sense. He will think of anything, and it doesn't have to be even remotely true, ever. He just says it in the moment, and then will fight for it, even though he knew it was bullshit. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
So,
Agreed.
We will breeze through MLB. That's what we will do. I just have the standings up. And then we'll do your esports thing. Because I think I saw that on there. I opened a tab just to see what that was. I figured it was Halo because the dude's name was fucking Spart. And I'm like, okay, that gives me a hunch. But
I'll bring up the standings here for baseball, but
even when I saw the dude's name, I'm like, oh, that's creative. Cool. Like, I'm playing Halo. I'll name myself Spart.
I know, of all things.
Like, come on, dude.
All right, baseball.
Yeah, so I'll do a quick rundown. So the two teams right now that are kind of battling for the number one spot overall in baseball in power rankings and just like the eye test are the New York Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies. And I think it's one of those, like, everybody really, really wishes they were playing each other right now because it would really give you an idea of which league has like the better World Series kind of hopes. But at the moment, I need to see. I'm actually going to check while we're talking about this. I'm going to see if and when the Phillies do actually play the New York Yankees, because I do think they might, but I'm not sure when.
I think the Orioles are like the consensus third as the power rankings too.
They are. Yep. Okay. Wow. Right. Okay. Everybody get your popcorn ready. July 29th, 30th, and 31st in Philadelphia.
Ooh.
In New York
Philly.
Yankees will come to town. And
Philly fans are probably going to go nuts for that game. Those three games.
I'm looking at so ESPN always has the ticket prices on the right.
Mm-hmm.
They're by far the highest of any series, any game. By far.
Oh, I'm sure.
it's a big step up. So, yeah, I am looking forward to that because it is like, I love the Phillies. I want to see them play one of these teams that is truly top to bottom good. And the Yankees right now are not just good, they're great. So it'll be interesting. As we look across, the Dodgers obviously have pretty much firmly taken control of the West, and I don't really think anybody's going to slow them down now. San Diego has called up some good prospects so they could try and fight themselves into a wild card spot, which at the moment is definitely within reason. They're the only, so like besides division leaders, they're the only other team in the entire National League that has hit 37 wins. So they can definitely do that. And the run differential has slowly been creeping up, so they're finding their way again. The Central, if the Brewers find a way to blow this, I will be really shocked. I gotta be honest. Like,
I agree.
I really don't think. And look at how close the other four teams are together. By the way, they're all within 1.5 games. The only team, genuinely, just based on what their roster actually is, that I think could compete to make a playoff push for like a wild card is actually the Cubs. They are just not playing well right now, to be honest. And they do not do well on the road whatsoever. They have a winning home record. Their road record, they're 7 games below 500. So they obviously are missing some pieces, and they're going to be one of those teams this year that, like, at the trade deadline, they're either going to be acquiring to try and get in, or they're going to be selling a lot because they have some young pieces and some guys signed that they can build around. But they know they need work. In St. Louis, age is catching up to their stars. Like Goldschmidt is not young, Arenado's
Right.
not young, Matt Carpenter, who they brought back, is really not young. I mean, it's just how it goes.
If the
And
Pirates
then
could just get some offense, because like they have two of the
literally.
better young pitchers in the league, like Jones and
Yeah.
Skeen.
Yeah, Paul
Yeah,
Skeens, Livy, or for all the internet like fucking dweebs, Livy Dunn's boyfriend.
right.
Ugh. It's like, nah, he's kind of way better at what he does than she was at what she did. To be honest, she's just hot, so it's like TikTok, yay.
Right. But yeah, like those two.
She's a good gymnast. Where she is an athlete, we'll bring her in. She is good at what she does. It's just Skeens right now literally looks like a guy who's like, for this being his first 6 games in major leagues, he looks nuts, like insanely refined. It's like not normal. This is not
like
normal.
He got a standing ovation. I think it was at St. Louis the other day.
Yeah, and then fucking Ohtani nuked the ball off him, and there's that picture of him just smiling watching it because it's just like he's just happy to be there. It's like, okay,
right,
cool.
But that
like
he nuked the ball from him. That was right after he struck him out in like 3 pitches, all 100-mile-an-hour pitches.
Exactly. It's just like, but that's baseball too. It's like Ohtani is in a different level of just like his plate vision is insane. Like he will catch a pitch that you thought was perfect, and he will send that shit into orbit. Like it's just that's what he does. But
right.
The American League is I think actually a little more fun this time around because like the NL Central I'm not like scared of. The Phillies played the Brewers literally like a week ago and they swept the shit out of them. Yes. And that's the team leading the Central. Like they just said, "Oh, welcome to Philly, go home." And then like, the Dodgers are scary, right? But that division they're going to win it. It's set. You go to the West. Like Seattle's opened up a really, really good lead, and I think they'll hold that because there's injuries on Texas. Obviously Houston is just not who they were. Any Astro fan, like A, the fact you're still a fan after the cheating, fuck you. B, the only good player you seem to have this year, really on offense, on like batting wise, is Kyle Tucker. Like,
right.
He's insane. He's going insane. All credit to Kyle Tucker.
It's honestly crazy how far they've fallen.
Like, I agree. Happy Texas got their championship because, oh boy.
Yeah.
And then you go to the Central, and it's like, okay, here's a race, right? Like the Guardians are 20 games above 500, which before the season, nobody on earth would have predicted that. Nobody. I don't care. Nobody would have said, yeah, the Guardians will be leading 66 games into the year, and they'll be 20 games above 500. No shot.
Right.
But their pitching staff is that good. Josh Naylor at first base has literally been unbelievable. And when guys step up, this is what happens. But then you look right behind them. I know they've played way more games, but at 40 wins are the Kansas City Royals, who have been building this thing real quiet for a while, and it's coming. Like Bobby Witt Jr. might literally be I think he is a top 5 player in all of the majors right now. Undoubtedly, he's just insanely reliable with everything he does, fielding, batting, all of it. And then I look at a team like Detroit. They are this close to getting over the hump. Their hurdle is getting rid of the Javier Baez contract. Like once that's gone, like genuinely, they have their starting pitching staff, their top 3 guys, their average ERA is like 2.4.
Damn.
Yeah, like the skew ball is insane. Like they are building something, and they've been like one piece at a time, kind of going in the right way with draft picks. But then you get to the AL East, and you just have this 2-headed monster. The Yankees have been going insane with Soto and Judge. Judge is on this tear right now that is like historic, genuinely. In like since May, I think like since like May 20th, he's hitting 431. That's almost a month. Like what do you mean? He has 18
Damn.
home runs in like the last 25 games. Like he's just literally been almost like pretty much perfect. And then the Orioles are just this young team. They are not going to go away for a while because this is all draft picks and the guys that they either traded for and signed to contracts. Like this is their team for a while. So if they could figure out how to just beat the big boys, they are going to find themselves getting some rings, I think. But baseball's fun. Baseball is very fun.
Outside of the Phillies, I like seeing the Orioles like come back to like relevance and top of their game.
Completely. Like if you rewind history, the Orioles were always just like juggernaut. Like there are plenty of teams that made the World Series, won the World Series. Like they were always a team to be feared, and then just for so long they were not. And it was really a shame because, especially in that division, like besides like Tampa, like there's so much history there. Like Toronto has multiple World Series championships. Obviously, Boston has their share, especially in the 2000s. They have 3, if not 4. I think they have 4. Yeah, 04, 07, 13, 18. So yeah, they have 4. And then obviously we don't even need to say the Yankees. They have fucking like a quarter of all the World Series that have ever been played, at least, if not more than that. Like it's just the Orioles being good is good for the entire sport, especially given it's guys that are homegrown and not a team that was just like paid for. And it just brings a lot more eyes to it, I think. And that stadium is so fucking beautiful too. So to see it full of people when these games are going on is everything. I think, do you want to do MLB injuries and then we'll go to your esports thing and then we can go into like other sports injuries since we're just on MLB?
Yeah. I mean, we can just talk about sports injuries in general with MLB right now. So
okay. Obviously the mega one being Acuna. That's probably the biggest like name that's gone down most recently, and then obviously John Means for the Orioles, ironically, had Tommy John not too long ago, so he's going to be out for like a year and a half, which is definitely a shame. I'm on this website that has like every single player that is either questionable day to day, whatever, for all of baseball by team. And the Red Sox one, I swear to God, it's like half the roster, dude.
Like, well, I know Cassis is on my fantasy team, so I'd love if he would come back.
So it says here he is aiming to return for the Red Sox series opener at Miami on July 2nd. So it's about 2.5 more weeks of that, and the All-Star break might be in there somewhere. Eloy Jimenez for the White Sox expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Not that that matters because they are horrendous. It will not affect anything for the team. Obviously, I wish him the best. Reds are kind of okay. They lost TJ Antone, right elbow surgery for the year.
Ugh.
I think that was right about the start of the season. Obviously, right around the start of the season, we mentioned Shane Bieber on the podcast for the Guardians. Imagine if they had him too.
Yeah.
Look where they are right now. Imagine they had him in that rotation. I mean, this is one of those like coulda, shoulda, woulda potentially. And I hope it doesn't come to that. Rockies, we got Brendan Rodgers day to day, and he's probably the biggest name on here. And Chris Bryant, but he's just been not himself recently. Javier Baez being day to day is a good thing for the Tigers because it means they can put somebody else in, and that will make them better immediately. Well, we were just talking about Kyle Tucker. He's apparently on the injured list currently for a right shin contusion, which I'm imagining he got hit by a pitch right in the shin.
That would sound right.
Which would really suck.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Yep, that's a big one. Okay, Christian Javier, one of the starters for the Astros, will undergo surgery on his right elbow and not pitch again this season. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's not great.
No, that is a big boy sort of injury right there. Hunter Renfroe for the Royals, fractured left big toe. That's going to be a little bit of time, obviously. Because even when you DH, you have to run, Sunshine, so that sucks.
That's for sure.
Obviously, we lost Mike Trout. Oops. Can you still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, then I'll fix that in a minute. I bumped the USB.
No worries.
And it's being all finicky. Marlins don't really. I mean, the Marlins are just at this point like they're having just a rough time. Obviously, their superstar Sandy Alcantara has been out all year. He will be out all year, which is a big shame because I do like watching him pitch.
Right.
Let me look for teams that are competing here. Yankees, okay. Do they have anybody to worry about? Clark Schmidt, one of their starters, will be out 4 to 6 weeks. But Garrett Cole is in his rehab assignment right now and coming back, so.
I know there's a lot of people I saw that are in their like rehab assignments or on their way back. Like Trey Turner is really close to 100% now.
Yep.
He ran at almost 100% intensity on Thursday, according to Rob Thompson. There was also Kobe Mayo from the Orioles, their third base prospect. He begins his rehab assignment on Thursday. Taylor Ward returned to the lineup for the Angels. So did Logan O'Hop.
Oh, Hoppy. Former Philly. He was in the trade for Marsh.
Oh, okay.
And speaking of, Marsh is beginning his rehab today. And
there you go.
He should be back next week. And then the little note, since you said Turner, it says he could be activated for the homestand that begins on Monday. So he could be back as soon as Monday.
Love that.
Because I think he even said in an interview he doesn't want to do a rehab assignment. He just wants to come back.
I don't blame him.
I was like, look, I would usually say no to most people, but you're good enough that just come back.
Yeah, just bring Trey Turner back.
Actually, just hey, I have a face. There it is.
There we go. Especially since Real Muto's out for a little bit.
Yeah, he'll be out for about a month, which we'll feel it. But the guy we called up actually is not bad. And then obviously our homeboy Stubbs,
the chief vibes officer.
Oh, exactly. Rafael Marchand is the guy that got called up for JT. He's 25. Let me see his career. If I can see minor league would be lit. Probably have to see MLB reference for this shit, but he was a draft pick. I know that. So
yeah, I remember reading a little about him. But I will say, in terms of non-baseball, Gus Edwards was hurt. They didn't really disclose what it was, but he's been, according to Jim Harbaugh, on a really good track and likely to be back for training camp. There's also Juwan Johnson. Unfortunately, has.
What website are you on?
I'm looking at Rotoballer.
Okay, I was to say I'm on Fantasy Pros, and those two are right next to each other.
Juwan Johnson has to undergo foot surgery next week. They don't really know how long he's going to be out, but it could go into the season, so they're not really sure. Foster Moreau is the backup there, and there's also Taysom Hill, who nobody ever really knows what position he's going to play. Reportedly, he's going to be playing some running back fullback.
I could see fullback, but not running back.
Yeah, especially they have 3 running backs that all can do a little something there. So
yeah, you have what, Kamara, Jamal Williams. I will freely admit I can't remember the third, but
and he was a rookie last year, Kendre Miller.
Yeah. It's like that's enough of an arsenal at that position. Like, use him as like a gadget. Don't use him as somebody taking snaps from players that are more skilled at that.
Exactly.
Like, I think even using him as a tight end would even be acceptable because he's done pretty well at it when they've asked him to.
Right.
Your boy Marlon Humphrey dealing with some nagging things, according to Coach John Harbaugh. But
sounds accurate. I mean, he's been pretty banged up the last few seasons, so not surprised.
Yeah, he goes through it. He's that dude works hard every single damn game. So
for sure. And then Najee Harris attended minicamp but did not participate. They say it's not an injury. He declined all interview requests and said he won't talk until training camp. So there's a lot going on there. Jackson Smith-Njigba, he left Wednesday's practice with a shoulder issue. Mike McDonald said it's not a serious injury, but there hasn't been any word out on exactly what happened. Greg Dulcich could return finally. I think it is Sean Payton said he could get back on the field this week during mandatory minicamp. He's dealing with a hamstring and a foot issue. Cortland Sutton apparently had offseason ankle surgery that people just didn't know about until yesterday. So there's also that.
This just because you're on him, there's a little note that says he and the Broncos are talking about contracts as well, but he added that they are in a stalemate currently.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, for that, if that guy who talked shit about contracts and cap on the Bo Nix video wants to pop in here, this is why Cap fucking fucks you. Got it? Cool. Glad we're on the same page.
We could work that out.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow will not confirm where he is health-wise. He just said it's tough to say what percentage health-wise he's at right now with his wrist, but he did say he'll be ready to go by the season.
Yeah. I was going to say with him, he should honestly be taking it pretty chill right now. It's like he knows how good he is. He doesn't need to push it too crazy. What's up, Dope? Ooh. This one makes me happy. Sorry, I did.
No, go ahead.
We like teams in the AFC North that are not the Browns. However, you and I both acknowledge Nick Chubb, when healthy, is in a league of his own.
Oh, yes.
Completely. It said he was not practicing on Tuesday, but he was there with the running back group. Love to see that. And obviously, I know he's going to be working his soul off trying to touch the field again. Because I think if they had him late in that, like if they had him in that playoff game, the whole game plan looks different. It would not have been such a forced throw game where Flacco just kind of got taken advantage of. But we need Nick Chubb back.
One thing we never talked about: Darren Waller retired.
Yeah, which there were rumors, and I get it because he has always been somebody very openly vocal about his mental health, and then obviously the whole divorce thing, and then he dropped the diss track, which he's just doing some shit right now that is confusing. So he's a guy that I'm kind of like, okay, he's retiring. Let's make sure we keep an eye on him.
Can we talk about the fact that he dropped a diss track, but allegedly, the whole reason for the divorce is he cheated?
Look, some of these people be out here acting a fool on a regular basis. And if he's one of them, at this point, based on what I've seen, I wouldn't be too surprised.
But not only that, the diss track was terrible.
Oh, well, we knew it would be, though, didn't we?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. And then it's like, of all the people to cheat on, are we for real right now?
Right. Kelsey Plum, really?
Can we not fumble absolute, like, queens out here, dude?
Yeah. But that being said, the next man up, Daniel Bellinger for the Giants, they're apparently being cautious with him because Brian Daboll said, quote, something happened a few weeks ago
Oh, no.
to tight end Daniel Bellinger, which is the explanation for why his repetitions were reduced during offseason workouts this spring. Just something happened. Like, okay, all right, cool.
Our boy Anthony Richardson has some slight soreness, but he should be 100% good to go, which
Good.
I am stoked about.
Yeah,
The
definitely
fact that
want to
we
see him
only
have a
got
healthy
to
season.
Dude, that's what I mean. It's like the fact that we only got to see like four or five games out of him,
I
and in
know.
all of them, it was just like this is like it was just fun. Like I need a full season out of that guy. I need it.
Definitely. And then Amari Cooper's holding out. He is absent for the second day of their mandatory mini camp. They said he's officially holding out because he's entering the final year of his current deal. Still waiting to be seen if he gets an extension, but the fact that you just paid Deshaun Watson over $200 million with all that guaranteed money and brought Jerry Jeudy into town, I'm not sure what kind of money Cleveland even has to spend on Amari Cooper. And while Amari Cooper is getting older, that man had an exceptional season last year with a plethora of quarterbacks. He literally had a career high 1,250 receiving yards last year. And he had like 4 or 5 different quarterbacks throughout the season.
Cleveland's current salary cap situation, they are 21st in the league. Obviously, because every team has 90 players on the roster right now. Everybody's in the negative pretty much.
Right.
I say everybody. The top 5 are not, but most are. So that's part of it. Is they need to make cuts and money needs to actually become available. So I know it's not easy financially for them to just like jump to a conclusion.
Right.
Washington has 12.5 million in open cap space, even with the 90 players. New England has 11.5. Detroit has 8. And they just made the freaking conference championship.
That's scary.
Vegas has 1.8, and then Arizona has 300K, and then after that, it's all negatives.
Okay.
But, the very bottom is Seattle. They're 32.5 million in the negative right now. So there's going to be some big cuts for them. And I know they already made some too. So I'm very curious to see how the hell they get out of this. But
right.
They have to.
But just speaking of some more people missing stuff, Darius Slayton suffered an injury on Tuesday that was undisclosed. Khalil Shakir from Buffalo was injured during practice on Tuesday as well. Looked like a leg injury of some sort. Obviously, losing any type of wide receiver in Buffalo is risky because you lost a ton of them. Aaron Rodgers just is skipping all of mandatory minicamp. Not really. Nobody has given a reason why, but he just is.
Because he's on a fucking retreat in the middle of the woods talking to no one because he's a weird ass. That's probably why.
Exactly.
Like, he doesn't. It's so annoying because it's like that division will be more fun if he plays.
Right.
But who he is as a human being so far, it's just like you don't seem like you respect or give a shit about anybody, and sometimes probably not even yourself. So it's kind of awkward because I'm like, I'm not going to cheer for you, but I want to see that division actually have some spice. Like a 3-team battle would be fun.
Right.
But at this
point, all he
point,
cares about is conspiracy theories at this point.
Literally.
And then the last few for football, Xavier Legette, he's expected to be a full go for training camp, dealing with a minor hamstring issue. Daniel Jones expects to be ready for the start of training camp from his knee injury last season. And then to finish up the Jets too, Breece Hall sat out on Tuesday, coming back from a lower body injury. And then Mike Williams is on track for August activation.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean,
I forgot they
Jets
even had Mike Williams.
The Jets is gonna be a tough one, man. Because if I'm Mike Williams, right, you've already had all these like knee and ankle injuries, and now you're gonna go and play in the stadium that is infamous for this shit. Like you chose this.
Yeah.
Like what the hell were you thinking? And then, uh, same with like Daniel Jones. It's like who cares if he comes back? Honestly, at this point,
Right.
like the Giants don't want him back. They probably wish he was out so they could just have somebody else. Like it's just God.
So they can keep in Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito.
But real quick,
I got you veal parmesan.
I'll touch on some esports here real quick for those that are interested in that. So there's a guy named Spartan. Short, they usually just call him Spart. Real name Tyler Ganza. Kind of a local guy for us. He's from New Jersey. But
you didn't say PA because I was gonna be like, get out of my goddamn state.
but he's been playing competitive / professional Halo for quite a while. He's been playing since 2015, and he's racked up quite a bit of earnings. Pretty sure he's in the hundreds of thousands now, which is nothing to, Yeah, here we go. Total prize money earned from 45 tournaments. He's won $173,000. Decent so far. He's our age too. He's 29. And this whole thing is a little weird because it took me, I watched a YouTube video about it because reading through it, I was a little confused exactly what happened. Yeah. But so they were at a tournament and the PC apparently that he was using at the time was giving him issues and everything. And for those who don't know competitive esports and things like that, usually the league or the tournament gives you the equipment so that they know you can't upload cheats and all sorts of things to it. They will usually provide the hardware. And you can bring your own controller and everything, but they provide the rest of it.
That's what I highlighted for you.
Yes, thank you.
This single sentence, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those that aren't watching, it says the SSD, the solid state hard drive, contains software that was not provided by the league. It intended to make changes to existing software and increases PC performance. The official ruling states that Spart cooperated with the investigation, but ultimately enough evidence against competitive integrity rules deemed Complexity disqualified. And Complexity is the name of his team. Now, the original ruling said that this SSD was not one of the tournament issued devices. They thought that he brought this SSD from home or whatever it may be, and he uploaded stuff on there. And mind you, the stuff that he uploaded on there was to improve the performance of the PC itself. It was not cheats in the game or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not like aimbot or walls or like a hack. It was simply a piece of equipment that would still give him a competitive edge because it would run it faster and therefore give him his reaction time being equal or better than others in the game would then give him a significant advantage just based on literal FPS rendering, and then just the obviously they're on LAN, so their connection's equal, so the hardware at that point is the only thing that could even make a difference.
Exactly. And so the original one, they were like, it was especially a big thing because they thought he brought it himself. Yeah. But apparently the tournament provided him with the SSD. And a quote here from the HCS officials, they shared this on June 5th. It says, after further investigation, it was later discovered that the SSD device itself was part of a separate batch owned by the administration. The unapproved software was still loaded onto the SSD as described above with a flash drive. The ownership of the SSD was never weighed in the determination of the ruling, apparently. The administrative team will be doing an audit of the existing fleet of hardware and removing any anomalous drives which are inconsistent with the rest of the other SSDs to ensure that this doesn't happen again. And so I want to just say, too, he never actually played with the SSD.
Yeah.
He loaded everything. He did load the software on there because the man is also like a tech person. I know a lot of people love to think that gamers are just automatically IT and tech nerds, but a lot of them are not, to be honest with you. Talk to a lot of gamers that don't really know shit about computers or coding or any of that. And so he just wanted to make this PC perform a little bit better. And he ended up just like not even playing with it. However, they disqualified Complexity from the tournament and shortly thereafter banned him for the rest of the season.
Which they need to fully figure out every detail of what happened, and then Complexity needs to have his back and appeal this, because at the moment it does not necessarily feel like he did anything too crazy, especially given it was an administration provided device. Like,
Right.
if it was literally an SSD that he just had in his damn pocket and he slotted this thing in, which would be a crazy fucking thing to do at a tournament, by the way.
Oh,
Like, no way in hell you're not going to just get seen doing that. Like, are we joking? And then,
Right.
like, it's not all on him. It's just not. So to just completely yeet his entire year of competitive play is very drastic. Like,
For
if
sure.
this was literally a software designed to give him in-game like exploits, like literal exploits, I could fully understand a ban. And that's totally happened in other games, especially in Siege in the old days. There were some guys that just went nuts.
Oh, yeah.
But this feels similar because I'm a Siege guy. There was one years ago. G2 Esports was playing against a French team, and I need to look up the dude's name because he's like literally the best player in the damn world. Still, he got banned for like 3 fucking years. Like, literally, they just banned him and didn't. It said indefinitely, and we're just like, yeah, fuck off. And then after years and years and years, they proved he didn't actually do a damn thing wrong. And he came back and actually in a series got to play against G2 again with a new team, and he shit on him. And it was the best thing I've ever watched. But
That's amazing.
his thing in Siege, one of the main things is having your hotkey set in a way for certain operators that you can do everything you need to do with each operator as efficiently as possible. And his main operator was Hibana, who has a charge that she fires from a shoulder-mounted little piece of equipment, and then you need to trigger it so that it then breaks the hardball. And he had a hotkey set where he could just spam the same key, and he had a clicking rate that was just like not human. So like the anti-cheat software literally flagged it because they're like, what the hell is this? Like, it's too fast. It doesn't make sense. It must be like a mod, or literally like a macro that he's installed. Which obviously, if you're macroing, that is cheating. You need it. And like, his team proved just over and over again with unbelievable amounts of evidence that it was just him and how he set up his hotkeys. Like, it's just. That's just, I think, yeah, hold on. I gotta find this. I have to see his name because I literally watch his YouTube all the time. It's just, I'm blanking.
I mean, I'll just say, like, going back to the Halo part, if he actually used it, that's one thing as well.
Exactly.
But
Shaco, that's his name.
Oh, I have heard that name before, actually.
Yeah, he's insane.
Yeah. If he actually used the drive, that's one thing, whatever. But the fact that like it wasn't even used, I think that banning for the entire season is crazy. And the fact that other opposing players have come to his defense, but his own team terminated his contract immediately.
Which is just Yeah, that's the part of this that's like crazy. It's like, and he is on. You said Complexity, right?
Yeah.
Do you know who owns Complexity?
I, isn't it the Cowboys?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not surprising.
nope.
But yeah, the whole thing is honestly a shit show, and it's honestly ridiculous. He's going to appeal the ban, which he should. Um, and so yeah, there's more to come on that. But for those of you that might be into esports, that is kind of the drama going on there. So
It just feels unfair. And it's
for
just
sure,
like one of those insanely harsh punishments for something that was literally like not, the onus was not all on him. And that's why it's
exactly.
worth bringing it up, because things like this happen not just in esports, they happen in real sports too. It's like, and it's just real life, like in general. So it's worth mentioning, because things like this should not actually happen anymore. And if this association actually regulated their shit properly, this never would have occurred.
Exactly.
So
That's
okay, do we get to roast the Falcons now? Is it that time?
I actually want to talk about Catilin Clark first.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. This has been a lot. This has been a lot. The entire internet has gone ablaze with Catilin Clark mania, not just from her college days, but now that she's in the WNBA. Let before we get to the Olympic part, I just want to talk about the part where everyone is talking about how, like, so Angel Reese had an interview where she's like, look, like, everyone's watching the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark, but it's also because of us. Like, we're also here too. We also make it entertaining. And she referenced herself, which, like, yeah, you should speak for yourself, because uh, obviously nobody else is. And people roasted her for this, even though Angel Reese is a big
Yeah.
rival of Caitlin Clark, and a lot of people love that rivalry.
It's like if you watched any of the college games, like you would have seen these two facing off
Exactly.
for like years in a row, deep in tournaments when it all mattered. Like this is when Caitlin Clark became what she was, because Reese beat her, and
Yeah.
then Clark had to get revenge, and it's just like, okay, you got revenge on LSU, and then you ran into the juggernaut that is the South Carolina. But it's like,
Right.
that was part of what made this whole thing such a big ticket. Is it was not only is like, was Caitlin Clark good, it's like her competitors were good, and they're also worth noting because they all built this shit. It like completely. Angel Reese is phenomenal.
Yep.
Cameron Brink is phenomenal. Like it's not just a one woman show here. But the media does this thing where they grab one person and kind of make them this like messiah of a subject almost.
Yes.
And Clark was in this case the one elevated to that. And she's very good, but it was one of those like, this needs to be a shared representation of what women's basketball can be now that all of these players are going into the pros. So I like, for that, from that stance, I'm fully behind Angel Reese just stepping up and being like, hey, like we're all here and we all did this shit together. Stop singling out this one person who's on a team that's, by the way, 3-10. They're winning right now, but like that's another thing too. It's like I get that the attendance has gone up to a crazy degree. I love that. It needs to go up everywhere, because like all these people need to care way more about the sport rather than just Caitlin Clark. And that's why it's so frustrating too, because I know we're going to talk about the Olympic stuff. It's like the thing I had open, the ESPN one. It just says USA Basketball cites inexperience for Caitlin Clark omission from Olympics is the tagline.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but like you'd probably maybe want her there unless you're giving us that reason because there's other things you think behind closed doors.
Right.
So I wish it was just one of those, like, be transparent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But my whole thing too is the thing that has just pissed me off watching everything kind of unfold is the fact that like people are mad that like the veterans and everything are going at her like and they're like giving her welcome to the league moment and they're just like they're not like taking them under their wing and stuff like that and everyone's saying like oh you should be thanking Caitlin for getting you guys charter flights and like getting you guys sellouts and things like that. The Aces have sold out a lot before Caitlin Clark. The Seattle Storm have sold out multiple seasons
Yeah,
before Caitlin Clark. Like there are teams that have done very well pre Caitlin Clark. Are there
yeah,
more sales and things like that now with Caitlin Clark? Yes. And Caitlin Clark is a very good player. She will probably be amazing as time goes on. And I'm not putting her down as a player whatsoever. But the fact that people are just sitting here and saying like, "Oh, they should be thanking her. They should be doing this." Like,
yeah,
"Oh yeah, they're just gonna mid-game get on one knee and be like, please, Caitlin, go get a
exactly.
layup because thank you for paying for flights." Like
Yeah,
every we talk about the NBA and we're like, "Oh, that rookie just got dunked on. Welcome to the league." Like you don't see LeBron taking it easy on Wembenyama.
no,
Look, and
well,
he's
like the
like a ridiculous prospect in the NBA.
the Knicks one years back when it was like Ennis Cantor and I forget the rookie. Uh, was it Quickly? Was it Emmanuel Quickly that year?
Yeah, it might have been.
Like Cantor got in his face and everything because
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like that whole thing. It's like LeBron is treating that dude like he's been there forever. Like it's not you. Like yes, you made it to the pros, but you're in the pros now. Like wake up. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like there were a couple instances where some shit was a little whack, like the Kennedy Carter thing, or like you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
There's
that was a cheap shot.
like
100%.
that's like a away from the ball, away from the play. There's no point for it. Like that's stupid. Don't do that. And
Right.
there's no reason. And like you look at her rap sheet as far as like her career, and it's like okay, you're just gonna be gone, and no one's gonna remember you except for this because you don't do anything as like professionally, and
Right.
as a basketball player, you have not been like memorable at all. But it's like for Caitlin, she needs to take coaching
Yeah.
because that so far seems to be an issue. Genuinely, like she has kind of gotten a little full of herself from what it looks like, and then like just accept the fact it's like you have been put in this position now. You're gonna make so much money. Like everybody wants you to be the face of things. Just play the game. Like play the game as
Right.
best you can, and you will keep that notoriety because like that's what got you here, right?
Yeah.
It like you can use your voice anywhere. Like I don't care, but like you were so good in college, and that is literally why everybody wanted to follow you. So you're here now. Make sure you play with that same energy and tenacity, and don't like act like a weird like Bambi in the headlights. Like just focus up. You're not on the Olympic team, and that sucks because that's a pride thing. I totally get that because
Right.
she's seeing peers that she played against go. I get that. It probably really sucks. Take it on the chin. Earn the shit out of it the next time the Olympics comes around. Like make sure there's not a single chance in hell that they can omit you from that team. Like
Right.
it's that, and that's it. Like I think everybody still respects her. It's just like
Yeah.
it's just like it shouldn't be all about her. There's a lot of other players that are really good and worth remembering. I mean, like we talked about that first guest appearance for me, like the Ionescu versus Curry 3-point
Yes.
contest. I'm like, shit like that is so important, and the fact that it was as good as it was like that's just proof that there's plenty of players, man, that
Yeah.
deserve the notoriety and attention and respect for their craft and how much they've honed it. It's
Right.
not just her, and it is a shame because it's like you could see it coming. You really could because it's like women's college basketball was always kind of in the shadow of the men's, and then this year it was definitely above. I believe. I think you and
Right.
I
Oh
agree
yeah.
on that.
I agree.
and that's a good thing because I think it should kind of go back and forth depending on who's actually playing,
Right.
not just the gender of the players. But we'll have to see how it all pans out. Obviously, it's early in her first professional season, so we need to see what kind of transpires with that. But yeah, it's just, and it's a good fucking team too. That's one of the other things. Like when you look at this roster, you're like, I mean,
That's
maybe
my thing.
Okay, well, I have a question for you. Would you or would you not have Brittany Griner on it?
So that is a big question because of the shit that went down for Brittany Griner. Now I will say I do think it was dumb that she was even like arrested and everything in Russia because she's played in Russia for like 7-8 years, and then the
Yeah.
whole thing was over just a little bit of weed. Obviously, in the US, it wouldn't have been anything. But it is crazy that you like traded a prisoner to get her back and everything.
That's what I mean. It's like there's a story. There's two stories for her basically at this moment, right? It's like, okay, all this shit went down, and now you get to represent the USA who brought you home. Right. And in that sense, it's very storybook and looks very good. And then there's the other thing. There's the other side of it, where she just seems like a really unhappy, bitter human being. And
right.
It's like it. And then even like statistically, how's she doing this year? She's played 2 games.
Yeah, this year she hasn't done much just yet.
Yeah, she's played. Yeah, she's played literally 2 games, and it says WNBA Commissioner's Cup. What is that?
Yeah, so it's like you know how the NBA put together the in-season tournament.
Is this they named it?
Yeah, they did it first. So the Commissioner's Cup has been around for like the last. I think this is the 3rd year of the Commissioner's Cup.
At least they gave it a name.
Yes, I agree.
At least they gave it a name.
I agree. The Commissioner's Cup has actually been very fun to watch too throughout the WNBA season. But yeah, she just got back from, I forget, she had some sort of injury, but she just got back from that.
Okay.
But my thing is with this team, like, say you even take off Griner, they need another big. That's the thing.
Exactly.
And if I'm taking off Griner, I'm putting in Jonquel Jones.
Yeah. And I look at Griner like statistically over her career. It's like in that sense, I'd say she earned this. Like
right.
You know what I mean? It's just it's tough because I think there's a lot of PR navigating that they had to do, and I think the team they ended up selecting is excellent.
Right.
And I'm honestly kind of glad Catilin Clark was left off because I just don't need to hear about this shit.
Right.
Because it's all these ladies, right? And then I know Brink made it as like a reserve or something, and then the girl that transferred from Louisville to LSU. What is her name?
Oh, so they're not on this team. They're on the 3-on-3 team.
Yeah, but it's like they're the fact that they even made it in that sense too. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah. So I will say the 3-on-3 team usually is either non-professionals or college players. So that's why you were thinking of Haley Van Lith.
Thank you. I knew it was Haley, but the last name was literally just not happening.
Yeah. So normally, like if you look at the men's side, the US team that made it over there, it's actually Jimmer Fredette and 3 guys that just like never made it in the NBA. Okay. And for the women's side, it's Jimmer. Haley. Yeah, I know. I love that Jimmer's playing.
I love it.
For the women's side, yeah, it's Cameron Brink because she played in the Olympic trials when she was still in college. Yeah. And so she was already like playing with that team while she was still in college. And
she was going to do a damn thing to her, by the way.
I know.
Like I want to watch every single moment of that.
Yeah, the 3-on-3 is really fun because it's a nonstop clock, and like it's just literally just constant basketball, and it's really cool. But But yeah, it's those two, and I think it was two others that are still in college as well.
Okay.
Like I know at one point, actually, Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young both won gold for the 3-on-3, the last Olympics.
Okay, so 2020
Yeah.
or whenever they did it last,
Well, yeah,
because obviously the pandemic
2021
and shit.
technically.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so they actually have the chance to become the first ones. Actually, maybe Jackie Young wasn't because they keep talking only about Kelsey Plum, but they have the chance to become the first to win golds in both basketball um, events. So yeah, the 3-on-3 kind of like is its own separate category, which I always wondered why not just kind of like use people from the other one. But either way,
I
yeah,
s-
Cameron
I
Brink made
kind
it
of
there.
I kind of like it because I don't want to call it like it's not like a minor league, but it almost is, right? Because
Right.
if you could have like
Like an
collegiate,
amateur.
yeah, and then now like if they ever end up um like on the official roster,
Yeah.
they've now had exposure to that environment and will not be as like horrified of playing
Agreed.
for your country. So it's in that sense, I think it will really help them grow.
Yeah. No, I
And I'll
agree.
definitely watch it because 3-on-3 is definitely, yeah, it's definitely a
Yeah.
fun time.
And there's some underrated, especially. I mean, I've watched the men's 3-on-3 a little bit more than the women's. There's some underrated people on the 3-on-3 side for men's that like are known internationally, but not in America. And then you watch them play, and you're like, damn, they might be able to play in the league. um, but either way, the only person on this team that I could realistically be like, yeah, you could put Catilin Clark over her is Chelsea Gray. And that's only because she has yet to play a single game in the WNBA this year.
And I
She
feel like
was,
that's fair.
yeah, she was on the Aces last season. She was part of the championship team. She was a big reason why they won. Chelsea Gray has been like unanimously one of the best leaders and point guards in the league for a long time now. Made the all WNBA second team last year and has just been like a big vocal person for any team that she's on. And so like the whole thing to me is when the Team USA committee spoke up and said like we weren't thinking about sales and merchandise and all that, we were just thinking about making the best team. You People just assume you can throw any player, like take the top 10 best players, throw them on a team, and they're all going to be amazing. That
That's
like they think it's like
that's
2K.
never how it works.
Exactly. Look at the 2004 USA men's team. They threw Allen Iverson, Tim Duncan, like a rookie slash first or second year LeBron and Wade and Melo and all those guys, and they ended up with a bronze, which was the first bronze they've gotten in a long time. So much so that they had to assemble the NBA Avengers in the next Olympics to redeem themselves. So like you can't just throw all these people on the same team and say, all right, there they are. Like, that's it. Just go do your thing. Just everyone play how you play. You have to mesh styles. You have to get people that fit next to each other. And
Exactly.
like when it comes to women's basketball, there has been, I think, since the 2000 games, I was looking through, and I think it was like 6, maybe 7 rookies have played on Team USA in that time span.
Yeah.
And when you look at who the rookies were, it was like Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Brianna Stewart, um, there was Swin Cash. There was also there's 2 others that I'm slipping right. Candace Parker and
Yes, they're
yeah,
literally all Hall of Famers. Like they're all
exactly.
like legends. Yeah, exactly.
Like Diana
It's
Taurasi is about to go to her 5th Olympics, which is
it's
the most by any basketball athlete at the Olympics.
and it's just nice though that they were like, we don't We just wanted to make the best team. We don't give a shit about sales because that's what the Olympics is supposed to be.
Exactly.
You're representing your country to win. You're not here for clout. Like, you'll probably get some if you do win, but that's the goal. And yeah, I respect that. And honestly, and it makes sense too, though. It's like, given what we're looking at right here, it's Catilin Clark would not fit into this. And with all the like drama that's currently just kind of clouding around her, it would not help the team. It just would, like, just, you know what I mean? Like, that's just not a thing that ever helps a team win.
Exactly.
That kind of attention. It's like these ladies literally want to just go over there and work and win. And hopefully they can. I mean, the list of names is impressive. Like,
yeah.
This is a squad.
Right.
And it's one of those, like, if Chelsea Gray really is that, like, was that pivotal in the Aces winning, there's no fucking way you replace her ever. Doesn't matter that she hasn't played a WNBA game yet. It's like you know who she is and what she brings, and why would you ever pass on that?
Exactly. And you have, like, Kelsey Plum was the college points record holder before Catilin Clark. She's now second all time. Jackie Young was the WNBA leading scorer last season. Asia Wilson was MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. Brianna Stewart won 4 straight national championships, a gold medal, and a WNBA championship before the age of like 24.
That's actually ridiculous.
Brianna Stewart's basketball resume is probably the best basketball resume ever.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't need to explain Diana Taurasi.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all of these people on here, we've all seen Ionescu now. She's been amazing. Nafisa Collier has been in the running for MVP. Kalia Copper has been improved. Amazing player. Jackie Young, right there alongside Kelsey Plum in for the Aces as a great off-ball guard. Brittany Griner, her career, I'm just talking basketball for all the political people out there. Just talking basketball, great basketball career. Alyssa Thomas putting up like 20 points a game. So all of these people have their reasons, and very good reasons, to be on this Olympic team. And the only argument that people have is like, well, they should put a rookie on there so she learns, or, oh, but they're fumbling a big business success and so on and so forth. It's the Olympics. It's not business.
Literally. The Olympics
it's go win a fucking goal.
The only thing, okay, it's only business for the host city.
Yes.
That's it. It doesn't matter where it is or when it. That is the only acceptable, like, hatred to say this is business for me. It's not. But if you're a competitor, you're a nation that is not hosting, and you're sending people there to compete. That's the goal. Everything else doesn't matter. You're going to sell merch. You already know you're going to sell merch. There's going to be jerseys for every team there. Men's soccer, women's soccer, basketball, all of it. They will get purchased. Like, and anything with anything like red, white, and blue on it is going to get purchased more during the Olympics. It's just a fact. So it's covered. Like, you don't need something that says Clark on the back. You really don't.
Exactly.
So
my main thing is, am I upset she's not on the team? No. Do I think she could have been on the team? Sure.
Yeah.
But the fact that people are up in arms, and now there's people saying like, oh, no Clark, I'm not watching the Olympics. I'm like,
that's just stupid.
I'm like, first off, you probably weren't going to watch anyway.
Exactly.
If you're really saying that, you weren't going to watch in the first place.
Well, and you know what, I'll double down on that too. It's like, and if that's the case, then you weren't going to watch because you wanted to see her play basketball. You just look at her as like an object at this point.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? For your amusement. That's not what she is. Like, she's a person that's trying to make it in a career that very few people actually get to be in because she earned it. But she has to earn the Olympics.
Yeah.
She's played 13 games as a professional, and the committee that selected this team did not think she was there yet. And to be honest, I agree. Like, I think there's too much going on. Just even in Catilin Clark's life, there's so much fucking going on. It's like, would she have wanted to go? Sure, but I think in 4 years, when she's had some seasoning to deal with all this shit,
Right.
she'll go and she'll play better than she would now anyway, because she'll be a vet and she can actually just it won't be some overwhelming thing. Like, she'll go there with pride, like wanting to win. It won't be about like, oh, I made the Olympics. It'll be she's there to get the job done. So
Exactly.
and I think in time she'll say the same damn thing. Like, especially if they go and do well. So
Agreed. With that being said, we can move on to the last topic of the week.
all right, I have Kirk's face here that I can share.
The Atlanta Falcons
Doink.
confirmed to be tampering for none other than Captain Kirk.
I love this tagline. By the way, I have to point it out just because I'm wearing an Eagles hat. Yes, sir.
The league also cleared the Eagles of tampering for Saquon Barkley. So for those wondering about that, they are cleared. Falcons not cleared. And the Falcons forfeit a 2025 what round draft?
It's a fifth. It is a fifth round pick.
Fifth. Okay.
And a $250,000 fine, and then general manager Terry Fontenot has also been fined $50K. And this states that it also included improper communications with wide receiver Darnell Mooney and tight end Charlie Werner. So it was literally just like, this is the thing I don't get to, right? So, because I've ranted about the Falcons before, because the draft just kind of like broke all of our brains as NFL fans. So not only do you go into the draft with just needs, excuse you, Can, I need you to not do that, thank you. Like, you go into the draft with needs, and you come out of it with a QB after signing Kirk Cousins for 4 years and a big contract. So everybody then is already like, what the fuck are you doing? And then it comes out that you didn't even really follow the rules signing Kirk Cousins or your new number 2 receiver or like your new tight end. It's just like to back up Pitts and be in there on like blocking downs. Like it's so confusing, because I'm sitting here looking at Terry Fontenot. I'm like, you just got fined $50K and your job is going to be gone, because Arthur Blank is not going to sit here and go, yeah, this is the kind of shit I want, like, within my organization. He is a serious businessman. He knows what the hell he's doing. Like, it's just a bad rep. It's just a bad look, and it's not anything any team would want.
Right.
And it's just confusing, because it's like, you guys are drafting pretty well, like, up until this year. Like, nobody really hated the Kyle Pitts pick. It was very logical when he got taken. Drake London was pretty logical, because he's just for his size and everything, makes sense. Bijan, what a unit. Like, it all made sense. And then this year, it's just been head scratcher after head scratcher after just weird decision. And I'm just sitting here going like it's like the Chiefs this offseason. It's like every 2 seconds we turn around. Oh, another Chief got arrested. Hey, shocker. I'm waiting for the next Falcons article to come out. Like, it's strange. I don't get it.
I really don't understand. It would be like when Daryl Morey got in trouble for tampering to get PJ Tucker. If he went and got and drafted a player at the same exact position. Like, I just don't.
This is so much like elevated too, though, because it's like
right.
Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. Like, I know he has this stigma and whatever, but it's like, you don't make it this long in the NFL as a starting QB without being a certain level, right? So it's like you just
getting $180 million.
Exactly. So it's like you're gonna technically cheat to get him. We're being real. Like, you're gonna do that, and then you're gonna follow that up with the weirdest fucking draft that we've seen in years. It's just like, what are we doing in Atlanta? What are we doing?
You're gonna cheat to get him, pay him a shit ton of money, and then at the same time not tell him that you're going to draft a quarterback.
That too. It's like that's like the third. That's the missing connector too, because it's just like he literally left Minnesota because they told him they were drafting a QB, and he comes down to your squad, gets paid all this money, thinking, "Oh, cool, I'm the starter," and then you fucking draft a QB behind his back. He's like, I don't know. I know to the media, he's been like, it's fine. I know he's fucking pissed. I know he is, and it's just so strange.
I would be too.
Like, what the hell? And to be honest, it's like, yeah, this is a hot take. I'm gonna say a hot take. I think Penix is better than JJ McCarthy by like a mile. Have you seen any of the tape of McCarthy?
I could see it
at the OTAs.
Yeah,
it's not good.
We'll get into the quarterback battles next week.
Oh, I know, but yeah, we're gonna save a topic that's all these battles. But yeah, JJ McCarthy looking like hot ass up there right now.
Him versus Sam Darnold is one that people probably didn't expect.
Yeah, I have predictions. We'll save it.
Yeah, for sure. But it's literally every way you look at this happening for the Falcons makes it more confusing. Like there's no way that I looked at the way that things unfolded and I was like, oh, that actually makes some sense. Literally zero.
No, zero.
But also, like, you had to cheat to get a backup tight end?
Exactly. That's what I don't get. I'm like, there's no way his phone was ringing off the hook.
No.
And you have Kyle Pitts already, so what the fuck are we doing? You could have called him, like, 10 days after free agency opened. You would have been like, yeah, sure. Like, it's so mind-blowing. Like, Darnell Mooney, I can get a little bit, because you need that, like, receiver depth. And he's shown that he can be effective. And you already know you have your like 1-2 receiving punch in Pitts and London. So it's like, okay.
Right.
And you go out and you get Rondale Moore. It's like you're trying, I see what you're doing. There's rules you have to fucking follow. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you like I don't care the level of desperation you think you need to have. I don't care. Like the only two teams that even got looked at for tampering were the Falcons and the Eagles. The Eagles were proven to be fine. The Falcons got absolutely obliterated on all of them. Like it wasn't just one. Like if it was just Cousins for that money, I'd be like, okay, all right, sure. But it's 3 different players. Like, and it should be more than a 5th round draft pick. Sorry.
It definitely should. And the crazy thing is, instead of Michael Penix and cheating to get Darnell Mooney, you could have just drafted Odunze.
That's what yeah, exactly. Like it's just strange because it's like Penix's career is now completely stalled. Right from
I feel bad for him.
I do too, because it's like I genuinely don't think Cousins is going to get bought out.
No.
I don't. If he stays healthy, like obviously he's coming off a pretty bad injury, so that remains to be seen. But like, if he does actually play well and stay healthy, there's no way in hell they're going to cut that contract short. So now it's going to be Penix riding the bench for 4 years, and it's like, okay, I know Aaron Rodgers did that for, 3? Because he was drafted in 2005. I think he finally touched the field in 2009, but he played or started in 2009, but he played in a little bit in 2008 because Favre got hurt, and that's what signaled Favre's exit. But if you're Penix, you're just like, I'm not even that young for a rookie either. It's like he played years at Indiana, and then he played years at Washington. So he's just sitting here going like, all right, fuck me then. He's got the bag. He'll get paid first round QB money, and if he's smart about it, which I know he is, which is one of the reasons he would get drafted high, is his just personality, intellect, and how he carries himself. It's like you're set for life, but like, this isn't what he wants. Like, he wants to be a professional football player, not a bench rider. So now he's just going to be stuck doing that. And Cousins is not somebody who fosters talent behind him. We know this. Like, the Vikings drafted multiple QBs semi-early in drafts, and they either disappeared entirely or, like, you know what I mean? Like Kellen Mond. That's a name that immediately comes to my head. He's bagging groceries somewhere for all I know. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, all of it's confusing. Like, literally, no angle you look at it does it make even one facet of sense. Like, this is one of those insanely faceted diamonds, and it doesn't matter how you look at it. You're like, what is it supposed to be?
Right.
It's just a whack ass situation where they have all these talented pieces, but they're trying to like internally fuck it up.
That's the thing. I've never seen a team with so many good young pieces do such crazy shit. Like, you have 2 top-notch running backs. You have a very top-notch wide receiver 1. You have a tight end that was regarded as one of the best tight end prospects to come out of the draft for a very long time.
Yeah.
And you pull this.
And the thing that kills you too is like, we know Kyle Pitts is better than what we've seen so far because we know he hasn't had shit to work with.
Right.
So like, you know that when you give him that, AKA Kirk Cousins, this should immediately look better. And same with Drake London. It's like a guy with what he has, like, you know, the numbers are going to jump. And it's like, but it was like 3 drafts in a row that they took a really good skill player early, and nobody really questioned it or hated it to too severe a degree. Like, Kyle Pitts was obvious. Drake London was logical where they were that draft, and then Bijan was like a no-brainer. Like, everybody wanted Bijan. Everybody. Like, that whole, I remember all the mock drafts looking at that. It was like, who's going to trade up and get him? Who's going to trade up and get him? And see, like, that's your core, and they're all young, and like, you literally, all you needed to do was just be like, let's build O-line. Let's just build O-line. Fuck it. Like, you got Kirk, he's coming off a big injury. We just signed him all this money. Offensive lineman at the 8th pick. Even if it's like a 5-pick reach, or trade back. Just trade back. Like, you're not going to lose out on that by trading back. But it's mind-blowing. And at least we can kind of close the chapter on the Falcons for now. Obviously, I'm sure they'll do something next fucking week that'll make us reopen it, but
probably
it's just so confusing, because especially in that division too, it's like, I think the Saints are in a really good position, and there's a lot of like projections for them to do quite well, and I can kind of get it because their defense is solid. It's just the offense we're all sitting here going like, what's it going to look like?
Right.
But like, the Michael Thomas drama is gone, so that's a huge help for the locker room and the field. But Kamara needs to stay fucking healthy. Like, period, end of story. If he doesn't, then who cares? Like, I like Jamal Williams a lot, but when they have a duo, that duo would be pretty fantastic.
Agreed.
So they can obviously compete. It's just like, the Falcons are at this point now. It's like, okay, we see what you have, but all the shit going on behind the scenes. Like, are you going to be able to really focus up? Because if you can focus up, you're going to win this division, I think.
Yeah.
Genuinely. But I'm sitting here going like, can we get to August?
Seriously.
Like, can we just get to that shit right now, please?
Oh, I agree. But
Killing me.
that is our final topic here. We will talk about the quarterback battles next week, and we have some other schedule predictions and stuff going on next week, so we will talk about all of that as well.
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
we're gonna start doing divisional. So like the way we did the AFC West and NFC West, like roster reviews and stuff. We're gonna start doing predictions for their, like, each team's win-loss, and like showing the full schedule, so we actually predict it out properly.
right?
And that'll just be a fun little exercise to do that. Like, pairs of divisions every week. It'll take a month, which is what we want, because every time we get one done, we'll be like 1 week closer to football.
Yep. So in the meantime, make sure everyone goes and checks out our NFL draft review series. We have a couple new videos up there that Tom did, so make sure you check those out. Tom also started off the NHL prospect review series, so make sure you check the first installment out on that. And I will be starting one for NBA draft prospects for this draft coming up this month. Those will be coming soon, probably by the end of this week, so be on the lookout for those. Subscribe below if you enjoy it. Hit like if you like the video, helps us out. Hit the bell, lets you know when we go live. We usually go live once a week at least for our podcast episodes. And for everyone else, if you just want audio, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on all the major podcast audio sites. So make sure you check those out as well. And with that being said, we will be signing off and we will see you guys next week. Peace.